Unspoken issues.
So we decided to do an Image anniversary like celebration. We were going to do the number ones of all the founders. My thinking was, well, Wetworks didn't come out until like 2 years later. So 30th anniversary of all these books is this year. So I didn't read Wetworks.
That's fine.
That's what I'm just explaining, like why we're only going to have, we're just going to let you talk about it basically.
Right.
So I've never read Wetworks number one, although I would like to. I didn't read it for this. Will Sportacio was, I think, the last Image founder to come on board, or one of the last. I think him and Jim are basically the last as a duo. And he had like a personal tragedy going on. And so his first issue of Wetworks, I believe it came out in the summer of '94. So we're looking like 2 years later.
You are correct, sir. As a matter of fact, it came out July 4th, 1994, according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics.
So tell me about Wetworks.
I recognized Wils's work on The Punisher. What I did not realize is that he was an X-Men artist as well. I don't know why I didn't, because I'm sure I've got a collection of some of his issues that he did. When I was talking to Bailey, he was kind of educating me on, oh, yeah, you probably own some of the issues. And I was like, I don't recall his art. And then, you know the cover to the first appearance of Bishop?
Yes.
Okay. Where, like, Bishop is coming through the portal. That's Wills. Yeah, Wills did that cover. So
the image I think of with Wills on Uncanny X-Men was the cover with Storm. I think
where it's raining.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was doing the gold team and on Uncanny X-Men, and Jim Lee was doing the blue team on X-Men.
Okay. All right.
For about a year or so before Image launched.
Like, how many ads did I see for Wetworks prior to it? Took forever for this book to come out.
Yeah. And Image was known for having books late, but it got to a point where it was like, well, Wetworks is never coming out, I guess.
It's gonna be, yeah. So imprint is Wildstorm, so this is part of the Wildstorm universe here. Here's the lowdown for Wetworks number one. A troop of soldiers. Now I've got the names of these soldiers, so I want to kind of run down this off the Wikipedia just so we know some of the names as we go through this. There's Claymore, Crossbones, Dane, Dozer, Flat Top, Grail, Jester, Pilgrim, and Blackbird. Okay. Now, I can't remember if all of these characters, this is, again, original series members straight off of the wiki. Some of these might have popped in afterwards. But when we open this issue, it's just a group of soldiers. Now, when you see the cover to Wetworks, I mean, just off the top of your head, you see these soldiers, but what's unique about these soldiers?
They look all like they're all gold-plated.
Exactly. Well, this issue starts out, that's not the case. They're just regular grunts that are out there. They're sent to Eastern Europe to eliminate a possible biological threat. Once on the ground, they infiltrate this enemy base. They find the enemy has kind of already been dealt with, and they follow this trail of destruction to a lab that turns out is holding some type of like advanced liquid biotech. All right. Now, as the team inspects these big vats of this stuff, a gunman hiding from a vent shoots one of the vats of liquid, and it kind of pops a hole into it, and this stuff sprays out onto one of the soldiers. So Claymore gets covered by this stuff, and I mean, it's just like, it's basically like you said, it's completely turning him golden to where it's actually covering his mouth, and he has to will. He noticed that he's kind of like, it's a symbiote where he's communicating with it, so he has to will it to open up a mouth so he could breathe, a hole for his mouth so he could breathe. But he does that, and then what he realizes, he's kind of sitting there, he's like, oh crap, this is really neat. The whole team around him is amazed at what happened, and then some enemies come in and they start opening fire. Now, as they're unloading their guns, the bullets are bouncing off of him. So he finds out, Claymore realizes he's bulletproof. Then the soldiers lay to waste these enemies that have come in, but they realize that they're having a really hard time killing them. Like they shot them, but they're still moving. And one guy's like, okay, I actually had to, because the one I got, I had to chop the head off of him in order to get him to stop squirming. So they're really having a tough time killing these enemies. That's when the leader, I wish I could remember his name. I'm sure I've got it here. I think that's Dane. So Dane says, hey, this is not right. I don't know what's going on here. Let's get out. So they got to they start to evac, but they realize they're not going to be able to fight their way through all these enemies that are heading into the facility. Meanwhile, Claymore's having no problem. He takes off. He is dispatching these bad guys left and right, but then he realizes he's left his team behind. So he gets ready to turn around and go get them when the team comes out of the lab and they're all covered in gold. So they've all decided to follow Claymore's lead, and can see, well, hey, if he's living, I'm going to put that stuff on me too. So now we've got these super soldiers that are impervious to bullets, and they have draped themselves in the biotech symbiote. So now this is the point where Dane realizes they've been set up. Like I said, they get in there, everything's kind of like open for them. This whole thing has been a setup. We kind of follow some of the stuff that's going on in Washington, D.C. as they sent this team in. I don't know if they were trying to get them killed, but they weren't working in the team's favor. But I don't think they were planning on them finding this symbiote either and covering themselves with it. When they realize they've been set up, the team activate the charges to blow this facility into the air, and then they're going to go to Washington, D.C. and face the ones that have put them there. Now, as the suits in Washington scramble to prevent them from getting there, they send some warships to kill the team. So at this point, by the time we catch up with the team, they're already they're trying to get to Washington, and these suits up there are like, no, you're not, and they send a bunch of warships out there. So the warships are about ready to kill these guys, but one of the captains turns its own guns of its warship on the other warships. And soon you see, she reveals herself to be wearing a gold symbiote suit as well, and we find out that her name is Mother One. So she comes out, she's like, hey, Colonel Dane, we're on the same team. I need your help. You've got to help me. And Dane's like, well, what do you need my help for? We appreciate what you did. What do you need me to do? You've got to help me fight the vampire warriors of the Night Tribes. Okay. Now, it's not like at the beginning we see and we know that these baddies are vampires.
Yeah.
But at the end, we get this small epilogue where we see a night tribe who's led by this prince, and they're kind of inspecting the damage of that laboratory. And they realize that this golden symbiote that they had developed is now gone, and they're mad. They are swearing vengeance on humanity for what's happened. So I think what they had said is that they were going to use that to cover themselves so they could continue to live, because humanity has been poisoning the air and it's pollution. I'm sure it probably helps them out. Maybe it protects them from the sun as well. That's pretty much the end. We get introduced to most of the team. It's not an in-depth introduction. I think the most you learn, maybe Colonel Dane is probably the one you get the most time with in the book. You're definitely introduced to the whole team. You're definitely introduced to probably what the main story is going to be. It's going to be this Wetworks team fighting off along with Mother One, taking direction from Mother One and fighting these vampire warriors. No werewolves yet. Apparently that's going to be a thing. But we got vampires, and at some point we're going to have werewolves in this book. And, we got Wetworks kind of stuck in the middle trying to do what they can.
Interesting concept.
Yeah, it is. I've never read the first issue of Wetworks until, a couple days ago when I did this for this show.
Who's listed as the writer?
The writer, so writers are Whilce Portacio and Brandon Choi. That's what they have here. Penciled by Whilce Portacio, inked by Scott Williams, J.D., Rich Johnson, and John Teague. Lettered by Bill Oakley, and colored by Joe Chiodo. So there you go. That is the creative team for Wetworks #1. So, all right.
Enjoyed a lot of the Wildstorm stuff.
Yeah, he did. Definitely some Wildstorm names in there. But as far as a good book, if this would have been in my ranking, I probably would have put this in the latter half anyway. I mean, it was okay. Again, the hype of Wetworks, there was a lot of hype, and then we waited so long to get.
Yeah, it was never going to live up to that.
It just wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't going to happen.
That brings this episode to a close, but make sure to come back tomorrow and catch us as we count down our personal rankings of the Image Founders' #1 issues from their respective launch titles. Who will be #1? Don't miss it.